Effect, music, effect, music. Hey peeps, PheenX here, and we're back to the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we were getting framed for murder. And in this episode we start back off where we left. Questioning this waiter that says that there was no one else around when our victim was shot. When we know better. And it's time we interject.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the table.
Objection!
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all?
But I'm sure of what I saw. Hasanaga-san, is there any chance you were mistaken? Perhaps your memory of the event is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it! I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to.
Let me see. Schedule the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume.
That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone.
Well, you're clearly a very conspicuous waiter.
Thank you, sir.
The court will take this plan and add to the court record as evidence.
Oh, well...
Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once.
Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him.
So, the court has now heard a precis of the case.
Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at the black and white case here. Defendant Oroto?
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you.
In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime.
What do you think I should do, Kazuma?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm gonna be found guilty one way or another. At least it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so is the judge of the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out his witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is.
Indeed. Prosecutor Uchi, please continue your proceedings.
Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be.
Ugh.
In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses.
Wait, plural?
Very well, officer, bring forward the witnesses at once.
Wait, didn't he say that he was alone in the room? Besides me? Ugh.
Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupation for the court.
Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant, Iesunosa, reporting for duty, sir.
Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the effervescence of our nation Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, humble premises in the 2nd District, Kiryo Gorakuta, at your service.
An antique dealer and a soldier. What unusual pairing.
Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question.
They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Oh, other table, okay.
Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios at which I make my business.
I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer.
Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct?
Affirmative! The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir.
This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. Yeah, it sounded like a scraw. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yeah. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start.
Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Yes, sir! Standing by, radio...
Sir.
Unsavory memories of most agribic afternoon.
God, if I knew he was going to do big words like that, I would not have done this voice.
I was ingesting a regular beef steak at the restaurant while having a technical discussion with the old man.
Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman.
At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel.
I was on my hands and knees, investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio.
Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim? Yes, sir! Affirmative, sir! That wicked university cadet served the cruel and unforgivable enemy! Oh, God!
At times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day.
But this is ridiculous! I didn't shoot anyone! Is that really true, Ryunosuke?
Yes! All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor, and I gotta remember this was times when the whole fingerprinting thing wasn't a thing, so doing this wasn't really that dumb back then. It was more of a curious act, but still, it does paint me in a bad light.
After I said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting.
You didn't hear the gunshot?!
I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it, so I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Wait, what? Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now!
As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring the despicable student to justice!
Certainly. The testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial.
Yes!
What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst?
I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination.
Dear me. Let me guess. The Hashimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic.
How did he know?
The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Zuma's so commanding.
Very well. Let the defense conduct cross-examination of the witness.
Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witness's statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means that the soldier said it has to be a lie. Well, yeah, but... It's just a case of proving it. And the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. Alright, now we get to some real fun stuff. Finding a contradiction. Again, you wouldn't think a game about court would be as interesting as fun, but these games have been going on for a while for a reason. And we're about to find a contradiction. Let's see, regular beefsteak at the restaurant, while having a tactical discussion with the old man. He is extolling virtues of particular fine golden curio. Okay, before anything, I do want to see what we have for evidence. Let's see, space to examine a little further. So, we can see, we can look through certain items and double check on them. Let's see, so that's the entrance, that's the kitchen. Alright. Wait, we have a magnifying glass? Oh. Well, that doesn't really do us any good. Alright. So, in these instances, we just gotta press them a little bit.
Yes!
So, you're saying that you actually saw me at that time?
Affirmative, I saw you. Laughing, cackling like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun on the English civilian.
But that's impossible! I only... Allow me to confirm just one point, please.
What's that, Private?
Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over the victim's table.
And so what if it was?
Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment when the killer actually fired the gun.
And double R! My sixth sense.
Sorry?
My sixth sense of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind. Which means, a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was looking right at you, cadet.
Surely that's not really possible, is it?
Do you think I've gotten where I am today in the Army if I couldn't sense danger in the air, son?
Well, it would seem the soldier is absolutely convinced that he saw you do the deed. This is not good. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. If you look at the picture and go off of the post-mortem, it didn't pass through his body, and it went through the chest. How could he have been shot from the back?
Yes!
What are you playing at, cadet? What's the meaning of this subordination? Dusting some photographic print in my mustache?
Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes! There's a clear inconsistency here.
What nonsense! What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know?
Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth.
I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there's no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom.
This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. Couldn't be more plain. Spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what
are you talking about?
It's apparent from the single glance at this photographic print presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement.
What?
Sergeant Iyasinosa.
Yes, sir. What, sir?
The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel.
Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes!
But no, that just can't be.
And why not, cadet?
Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness's statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again.
Certainly, there's a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearms discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious log carnival steak, sir.
What?
The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Iesa Nosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all.
That's absurd!
I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. It's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about.
But I definitely saw him! The university cadet there. He was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back!
Yes!
But I never fired the gun! All I did was pick it up off the floor.
And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either?
Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure.
Treasure?
Indeed, the Ho'er-Kaban, my prize coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, Rasute.
In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you?
On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Ho'er treasure. Believe that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little of alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, was there no more. It simply vanished.
The Kaban vanished?
Hunting around under the table, I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there, and then it happened.
You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Ho'er treasure. Nothing could distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No,
I see.
that lamentable day, that precious Ho'er-Kaban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself.
As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send full report to the Great Britain of Telegraph this very afternoon.
Nevertheless, the witness's testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now.
What is your position, Prosecutor Aochi?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there's only one person who could have possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he?
Ugh. Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. And is that clear?
As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir.
Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think.
Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Ida.
It seems those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny.
Ida, attention! Your father's about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy.
Aww. Wait, why was he trying to hide him away for the longest time, though?
Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it almost was the same thing.
Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young lad in the black. That much myself I did see.
Furthermore, a visual search for the premises at the time confirmed that they were the only personal president.
Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself.
Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out!
Oh, I can only do these voices for so long.
Yes!
Oh, shoot, I wasn't paying attention. Wait, that's nonsense! The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all.
Please, enough of these outbursts already.
But there was a woman! There was a young man at his table! You must have seen her! Everyone there must have seen her!
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies.
Ugh.
It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact.
Is this photographic print of the scene of the crime, Counsel?
Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there's only one place set.
And I already see a problem with it.
Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else.
This doesn't make any sense.
We'll now add this new photographic evidence to the record.
I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true! I saw her! I swear that I saw a woman with him!
It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness's testimony we have just heard leave no further room for doubt.
These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Aochi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor!
How could this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma.
The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick. Understood?
Rules can be so unbending at times.
Ugh. So I already know the point I already want to press on. So you can press people for free most of the time. But in this instance, I kind of know what I want to press on. Because the thing is, it could look like we did point the gun at someone if we were examining it. Okay, so that might be something to press, but let's continue. Here we go.
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone.
That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in.
So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support that statement as well. As can clearly be seen, there's only a single beefsteak on the victim's table, a meal for one.
Oh. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Okay, so I need to press this.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth?
What did you say, Cadet?
I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible.
Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, not just a case of these two witnesses alone.
Sorry?
The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said the victim was alone.
That's right.
Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady.
But I...
If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time.
There's nothing I can say to that. What do you think, Ryunosuke? What's the matter? I can't find anything. I can't find a clear discrepancy anywhere. I'm done for. I can't win this trial. No. Listen, the first thing to do is calm down. You can't expect witness statements to be full of holes every time. So just take your time and try to tease more information out of them first. What do you mean? You can choose to either press or present against each of these witnesses' statements. If the witness is saying something you're suspicious about, press him on it with Q. With a little luck, you may get more details, which could prove to be crucial. Right, I see. The important point is, there's no sense in holding back. If anything even slightly jars with you, press the witness on it and press them hard. Alright, got it. I'll press them like blocks on tofu. This wasn't alone in the restaurant, I'm sure of it. In one way or another, this cross-examination is going to prove him right. So I had to press them all for what they're worth. My fate depends on it. Well, I guess I'll press all of them then.
Yes!
No, it's not the same thing at all! For a start, I didn't fire that gun!
We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet.
I don't think so.
Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked.
Did you?
Did you see it? Did you see me blink?
How could I?
And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it.
Have what?
Attention! Sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman.
I think that says it all, don't you?
Ah!
And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in the most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Kurakuta-san?
Yes!
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at the point in time. But I told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor.
But obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you can explain it away.
I just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears.
Full of events beyond our control, life is.
Sorry? What do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the kaban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner.
Okay, this I didn't press.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there!
Attention!
As you have been pains to point out time again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman.
Why there have been more people dining there at the time? Someone else would have noticed her. Fortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. No, of course the place is almost empty. It's what you'd expect.
Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of time to eat. Wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason.
Wait, there was?
This was found in the victim's jacket pocket.
What is that, Counsel?
It's a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
On a clinic. Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon past 1 p.m.
Very day of the incident.
So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case.
I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, I'll tell you what I think next time. So, when we come back, we're going to continue defending ourselves and pointing out contradictions that'll save us. I'll see you guys then. Later.